When the mics go hot, he's got questions and views. It's time to press play on the Dick Buttons interviews. Big laughs, bold truths, better spread the news. Step up, tune in, it's the Dick Buttons interviews.
This is the Dick Buttons interviews, the place where the creators, innovators, and personalities step into the spotlight. And this episode, this one is big. Today, Dick sits down with one of the most respected, admired, and hardest working figures in the entire AI creative scene. The one and only Fenix. Now, let's be honest. If you've spent even 5 minutes in the AI music community, chances are you already know the name. And if you don't, well, you're about to find out why so many creators speak about this guy with massive respect. Not only is Fenix constantly helping artists, supporting creators, and lifting up the community, he somehow also finds the time to host not one, but 2 AI music streaming shows. That's right. While most people are trying to keep up with one project, this man is building platforms for everybody else while still creating his own incredible music and cinematic videos. And speaking of those videos, absolutely stellar, creative, polished, cinematic, and loaded with the kind of passion that separates hobbyists from true artists. This is a deep dive into creativity, community, inspiration, burnout, passion, the future of AI music, and what it really takes to stand out in one of the fastest growing creative movements on the planet. So buckle up, because when Dick Buttons and Fenix get together, you know the conversation is going to go places.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Dick Buttons interviews, the one, the only Fenix.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, sitting with me today is the one, the only Fenix. And then those of you who are in the AI community world, or whatever you want to call that group of people that we all are, you know his name. Welcome, sir.
How's it going, Dick?
And so the first thing I wanted to ask, and there's a ton of AI shit I want to get into. There's a lot for us to talk about.
Yeah.
I want to know, I've always wondered what the genesis of the name Fenix was.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't really come from any of this sort of stuff. It's just from when I was a kid, basically. We had, remember the old CB radios and walkie-talkies and all that sort of stuff?
Yep.
So when we were kids mucking around on those things, I picked that name and I've sort of stuck with it ever since, basically.
That's pretty cool. That's exactly why I wanted to ask. I didn't think it had anything to do with the AI music. So
Yeah.
again, back in your childhood, when did you start getting into the AI music? Was it, for me, you know me, a little over a year ago, maybe a year and a half. Have you been in it longer than me?
In the AI side of it,
Yeah.
probably about the
Yeah.
same time as you, I would say. Yeah. I mean, it's only been around for what? I mean, in the format that it's in now with like Suno and all that, 2 years, maybe 2.5 years? I think the original stuff was
Yeah.
sort of in Discord. But then, I think it's been definitely on the web for like 2 years now.
So I get the feeling that there was and I don't want to say real music, but actual. I don't want to say actual either. That takes away. You know what I'm trying to say. You were in a band. I get that vibe from you.
Yeah, I mean, I've done various things over the years, basically. Never been in anything serious. I mean, we've always mucked around with our friends. I was always either the guitarist or tried to be the vocalist or whatever a few times. But we never had any sort of success or anything doing anything. It's always just kids mucking around in the garage, mucking around in the spare room, mucking around in the spare room, which is the studio. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
never
same
anything particularly serious.
Yeah, saying I had a band in high school. We had gigs, which were at friends' houses and stuff, and that's when I had all those lyrics that I found when I was moving, and that's what spurred
Yep.
me to do the AI music. So, let
Yeah.
me get your initial thoughts now. I know where you stand. I want my listeners to hear this. Where are you on AI music in general? Is there a negative part of it? Is there just a good side, or I want to know what you think.
No, it's definitely a negative side of it. I mean, we all know like the controversy with all the original training data and all that sort of stuff, and I still think that's sort of a big deal. But I think there's a lot of confusion around that too. Like I see now in social media, everybody's all going on about how their stuff doesn't breach copyright and all this sort of crap, and they seem to fail to understand the root of sort of that issue when it's not necessarily their outputs that they're worried about. I think they're worried about how it was trained in the first place, which therefore invalidates your output because you're using data that was quote unquote stolen or whatever. But I don't know. I think there's good sides, for sure. All the positive stuff everyone's creating. There's definitely bad sides. There's people out there definitely abusing the hell out of it and, using it to rip other artists off and flood the system with just absolute junk in some lame ass attempt to make a quick
Right.
dollar sort of thing. That's absolutely everywhere.
But that's with everything, Phoenix, right? I mean, like,
It is, yeah.
there's people who do things for good, and there's people who are shitheads and do things for bad reasons, and that's just the nature of life and people. I mean, you're never gonna stop that.
That's exactly right. I always try to use the gun analogy. People always say that guns don't kill people. It's the people wielding the guns. And it's the same with this tool. It's not the people. It's not the tool itself that's inherently bad. It's the people who use it.
Yeah, I agree with you
People who use it
100%.
for
How
bad
about
anyway. But yeah.
now let's jump off the AI highway, the music highway for AI. Where are your thoughts on AI in general in life? Because I mean, for me, it does amazing things, medical and all that research stuff. I mean, that's good, and it can be used, deep fakes and all that stuff. Where do you stand on that?
Well, obviously, again, it's definitely got its good things, like you just said, definitely medical purposes. Even the fact that it helps people from day to day just do stuff that they might struggle with, just helping them write that email or whatever.
Right.
All that sort of stuff can be positive, but I also think it's going to have a sort of like a, what do you call it, like a double-edged sword effect, where people will just start relying on it way too much. I sort of envision a world sometime in the future where, because businesses are now relying on it. Yeah, you go to any
Right.
office now, and when they're writing emails to each other or to outside the company or whatever, they're just saying, "Hey, ChatGPT, quickly formulate me this quick email," and they'll do it. Obviously, send the email out. But what happens? 10 years, they've all gotten reliant on that sort of stuff. They can't formulate a proper email themselves.
Right.
And they're relying on either their agents to do it or ChatGPT to do it or something like that. Oh, internet goes down for the day, or some sort of global conflict starts or whatever, and there's no access to it anymore. What do? All of a sudden, this technology you've been relying on for 10 years that it's probably not so bad for us because we've grown up without it. But these kids
Right.
who grow up with it and completely rely on that, they're just going to be screwed. I think there's even people now who struggle to function day to day without the internet because they grew up 100% with the internet. As soon as
And
the
I'm
internet
gonna
goes down,
say
it's chaos for them.
Gen Z is victim of that, and now I have kids, 27 and 25, and I won't even say which one, but I'll say one of my kids, "Oh, dad, the cable's out. What do I do?" Well, call somebody. "Oh, I gotta call somebody?" They don't even wanna call anybody on the phone, this generation. They want it all with a chatbot.
Yeah, yeah. Punch a couple of buttons
And
into their phone
you know
and that's it.
yeah, and I think, and I'm pretty, I'm 60. Are we around? I'm probably much older than you, right?
47.
Okay. Oh, yeah, much older. Uh,
No, not that much older.
um, I think guys in the dating world, I think, suffer today too because it's all digital. It's all swiping left and right. You don't have the
Yeah.
opportunity to if you could speak well and have good game, right? You have an edge over other guys. Now it's all based on looks, and there's no personality involved.
It's that first impression. I mean, it is even in the real world, it's the first impression. You go to the bar with the idea to pick up, you look for the girls who look good and they look for the guys who look good. So that sort of gives a first impression. But yeah, there's no other interaction other than that. You see them, swipe, done. Yeah. And it's also
Right.
made it very, very throwaway, I think, the dating world.
Yeah.
Because you just go
I mean,
shopping basically. As soon as you've had enough of somebody or this person's annoying me, they jump on and swipe, 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 find the next one. Like, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'll speak on for myself. I was never a Brad Pitt growing up, so I had to rely on my gift of gab
Yeah,
and
yeah.
persuasiveness. So that is totally taken out of dating right now. So and listen, technology will always advance. I always give this example when people start railing on AI. When they made cars back in the 40s, right? They're not made the same, and those people lost their jobs. Technology will always advance, and people will lose their jobs. It's just the nature of the way the world goes.
Yeah, and anytime that happens, there's always someone fighting against it. Like the people who are currently in the system are fighting against it. Even if you go back to probably the start of the automobile, there was a whole industry that was built around horses. Feeding the horses and
Yeah,
looking after
yeah,
the wagons and all that sort of stuff. And all those people, well, in the long run, they end up losing their jobs. But a lot of them sort of converted. I mean, one of the biggest car companies in Australia. One of the well-known Australian car companies called Holden, which is like partner of GMH or General Motors over there. They started off as a horse and buggy company, and
Right.
when everything went to vehicles, they started importing engines from America and installing engines in their horse and buggies, and so they went with the times and developed with the times, and that's what I think a lot of these people don't do. They see this thing come, and it's a big threat to them, and they're like, "Oh fuck," and they just start freaking out about it, jumping online, swearing, screaming, and using all this energy to abuse it and try and take it down, rather than going, "Hang on a minute, I can spend a
What?
few days like learning this and checking it out, and maybe I can bring it into my workflow, and that will make me better and make me able to compete." And I think that if you've got that sort of a background, I mean, I suppose I didn't mention this before. I've done audio engineering and stuff. I've done that. 1998, I think, was when I finished school for that. I mean, I only did it because we were, like I said, forming bands and stuff back in the day, and just fucking around in the garage and all that sort of stuff. And we wanted to sort of make it all a little bit better. And basically, you got to adapt with the times. You know what I mean? I didn't really use any of that sort of stuff for years, but now I think, like I said, because I've got sort of that behind us, so it gives a little bit of at least advantage over people who have done absolutely nothing before. Anyway, I
Right,
think that's
right,
the
right,
point.
right. And so one last AI question, and then we'll move on to other stuff. Where are you on that AI is going to eventually become sentient and take over?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think we're a long, long way from it being actually, that sort of AI. Like it's still inherently just an algorithm, that's sort of sitting there putting a bunch of patterns together and sort of predicting
See,
outputs based on that.
I disagree a little bit because I'm big on AI and I watch all the podcasts and all Neil deGrasse Tyson. I like him. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah.
He's an astronomer scientist. The last version, the last update to ChatGPT, the 5 that came out, was self-written. The,
Self-written.
the, co- the coders did not say, "Hey, version your software up." ChatGPT looked at its own code inwardly and said, "We need to make these updates," and the updates were made.
Yeah, I don't know
It's
about
not
that. I mean, even if that happened or whatever, I don't think it should be possible. They shouldn't give it the ability. Like as soon as if you've got something like that and you give it the ability to access outside systems and do things like that, then you probably are asking for trouble in the long run. Like I think even an algorithm can become a loop where it sort of says, if this, then that. So okay, if human bad, then kill human sort of thing. Then
right, right,
that's
right.
possible without it being full on sort of sentient or whatever and being able to think for itself in like a Skynet sort of level anyway.
I think we're 3 to 5 years from that, but that's just me. I'm not even an alarmist. I'm not a I'm not one of those people who, yells about stuff, but I really think 3 to 5 years, we're gonna see a big jump, bigger than
Yeah.
we've seen in the last 3 years with AI, so
Well,
that's
technology
my
does
thought.
seem to do these things where it accelerates in like these quick bursts. You know what I mean? Industrial revolution and the microchip revolution. What about now? Like the AI revolution, I guess. So I don't know. I feel like it's probably going to stagnate around about. No, not necessarily right now, but I don't think we'll get too much further before it starts to sort of stagnate out and not become as moving fast as it is at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it now, the videos that we were creating just a year ago compared to what we're able to do now is light years. I mean, it's crazy what we're generating now.
It is true. And it kind of it's not only true, it's kind of frustrating. Like a year ago, you probably spent, weeks working on some video, and then you look at that video now and you're like, it's not
I
very
know.
good. And then
Some of the
now
older
you
stuff.
spend 2 hours doing something and you're just like, Pah! Shit's all over something you spent. Yeah, crazy.
And now the issue is why it takes a little bit longer. Now you're not happy. Now you now for me, I'm a perfectionist.
Mm.
Even though it's amazing and I'll show it to somebody, I look at it and go, "Nah, I don't like this," and I'm regenerating because I want it to be perfect, perfect. But
Yeah. I know. I think you like I did sort of start to get a little bit of that mindset. Not necessarily it's got to be perfect, but that you've constantly got to one up yourself and make something better than you made last time. And then you're just putting unnecessary pressure on yourself. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I think you still got to have fun with it and still, put out some casual sort of fun sort of stuff as well. I don't think
yeah.
there's really a problem with it.
Yeah, I posted on Facebook, like, I haven't been generating as many videos as I used to because of this podcast, and this is really starting to take hold. And running the AI Music Society, I I knew it would be a big job, but it is a it's bigger
Yeah,
than
yeah.
I thought it was going to be,
Yeah, you're
and it
doing
is
well.
very time consuming. But I mean, I love doing it. Don't get me wrong; it's not a complaint at all. But right now, those two things, and I'm bartending now too. So there's and real life and my other job. So I have to pick and choose when I do my creative video stuff.
Yeah, well, that's it, man. You got to find a nice balance with this stuff anyway. If you get too obsessed and just dragged into it, then you ended up going mad with it. I think there's probably some people in the community who are a little bit too obsessed with it and they're just 24/7 focused on this.
Yeah, where do you get your flair for? Because I have to be honest, and I don't have to blow smoke up your ass because we're friends, but um, you're very good at the streaming host thing, right? And is that something that was always within you, or was this something that came out new when this whole world opened up with the AI music?
No, I think originally I didn't really want to do that sort of thing. I was like more, just put out the songs. And I think, look, because like everyone sort of does that thing at the start where they're kind of like unsure. Should I do this under my own name? And then you sort of see other people getting shit for it for using any sort of AI in their stuff. Yeah. So you're like, all right, I'll make a little persona or whatever. And you kind of, I don't want to say that you hide behind it, but you kind of like, put it out there to get a feel for it with all that. So yeah, initially I was like, maybe I won't do anything like that. And then eventually I think it was probably Matt from AI DIY who sort of um, pushed me to do one of the intros one day for his
Mhm.
thing. And so I sort of, all right, I'll freaking do that. So I did that. And once I did that, I was like, all right, bloody hell, whatever. I've done it now. Might as well just keep doing stuff like that. I think I was in AI Music Society on, obviously, checking out some of the threads in there, and people were going on about nobody likes to give feedback, and when they do, it's always positive, which it is. That's what I find. And I thought, well, you know what? I don't mind being the freaking, um, well, not the asshole, but the one trying to give at least some feedback from a negative perspective or from a critical perspective, anyway. So I think I originally just started going through the threads on there and sort of streaming as I was going through the threads and clicking on people's songs and yeah, just sort of having a bit of fun with it.
You have people watching. When you can get an audience,
Yeah, well, that's
right?
true.
Yeah. And you hold them, there's your assessment right there. If it wasn't good, people aren't gonna stay on. And,
Yeah, well,
back to
that's
what you
true.
said about all positive comments, when I was on there every day, which I don't have the time anymore. I mean, I would listen to every track in every sharing thread, and if there wasn't always a glowing comment, I would tell them what I didn't like or what I thought could do if I didn't like the vocal. But I don't think anybody really wants to go online and hear a Simon Cowell, review of their stuff, right? I mean, you're putting it out there for affirmation that what you're doing has some merit and someone's gonna like it, and
Yeah, that sounds about right, actually. Yeah, it makes sense if you're just being positive for the sake of being positive, and I do think that's what a lot of the hosts are on those like wheel spin shows and all that sort of stuff. I watch them, and every single one of them, they're like, "Yeah, that's great, blah blah, yeah, fire, fire." Same with the chat over to the side there; it'll just be full of emojis of dancing people, and nobody really sort of giving any actual proper feedback.
right,
Um,
right. Yeah, I'm new to Twitch, right? So I just started jumping on the Twitch streams and submitting videos and stuff. There's one guy, Legion gives feedback. That's one of the Twitchers. Starface gives
oh, yeah,
feedback, but you're right. A lot of them is just people with emojis on the chat. There's really no interaction whatsoever.
yeah.
Senju, I think, does feedback as well, if I'm saying that
Yeah,
correctly.
there's a few of them who are pretty good. I mean, because I'm in that weird Australian time zone, a lot of those guys will be streaming at like 4 a.m. for me. So, I miss their streams or whatever. Phil Fine or whatever. Him and Wavy seem to do like a bit of a thing where they're giving people feedback and doing like reviews on their tracks, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
jumped on one. I forgot what the guy's name was, and all he wanted was like unfinished Suno tracks. Like he didn't want videos or anything. And I uploaded it. I had this. I put it up there, and he gave me a 25-minute dissertation on he thought the lyrics could be better. Put this there. Like, tell me why you're writing about this. I mean, it was interesting. Not my cup of tea. I don't think I ever went back on that live stream, but at least everyone has to find their niche, and everyone's trying to and sometimes there's Twitch streams that are overlapping each other. I don't even get that in the
yeah, there
same
is.
community. How do you do that?
The thing that frustrates me about that, I mean, look, that happens. People are got different schedules and all that sort of stuff, so you can't necessarily always organize around each other. But the thing that frustrates me is when I notice that there'll be people and they'll be in 3 or 4 streams at the same time in the chat. And they'll be
Yeah.
like, just spamming emojis in there and making out that they're present and active and cheering everybody on, when in reality they're just sitting there just to show that they're there just so that their song gets played.
Yeah.
And then as soon as their song gets played, they've stopped reacting in the chat. And yeah, it's
All right,
like,
so let
you want people to support you, but you don't want fake support.
no, I don't want. And listen, for me, the real affirmation that I get from the stuff that I generate or written or videos that I make or from my close knit group of friends, you and the guys that I work with, you would tell me if something sucks. I don't think anybody would blow smoke up my ass because you don't have to.
Yeah.
And the other avenue is the royalties I'm getting from DistroKid on the. I mean, that last check was like 117 or $114 or I mean,
That's
that
it.
just
Well, I mean,
shows you that someone's listening, right? I
yeah.
mean, so, and again, I'm not in it for that. I'm not in it for money. I'm not in it for fame. I would much rather this podcast take off than the AI music, but
Yeah.
so we'll see. But so let's finally talk about the elephant in the room because you and I think we're on the same page with censorship and we have two rival. I don't even know if they're rival. I guess they would be rival if they were on the same time, but they're not. Uh, there are two, video premiere shows. One on the end of the week, one on the beginning of the weekend. That's all I'll say. Uh-huh. Where do you stand on censorship? Listen. There has to be some guidelines. I get it, but where do you think it breaks down and gets to be muddy?
Well, obviously the 2 shows or whatever you're talking about are Fresh Friday and Super Saturday. I mean, look, I host them both. As far as I'm concerned, they're not rivals or anything like that. They're brothers, yeah? Um, as far as, like, the whole censorship goes in general, for me personally, I think if YouTube allows it, then it's fine, as far as what you
Because they're
play, what you stream or whatever. But as far as, if somebody has a website or an event or even a freaking a public place that they have, their bar or whatever. So if you've got a bar, you can decide what bands play in your bar, can't you? You can decide which patrons enter your bar based on what they're dressed in and things like that. And I think the same does apply to things like Fresh Friday. So if they have a standard of, a dress code, which is not a dress code in this case, it's,
I get it. I get what you're saying. I
whatever
get what you're
code,
saying.
they have a right to sort of go, okay, this is our standard. We don't want anything at this standard. But when you do that, you have to be pretty damn clear about it, and you have to probably got to be careful with your communication sometimes. I think there's been a couple of miscommunications which have probably caused tension in the community because people have taken things the wrong way and been thinking, oh, the person's insulting me, and not necessarily they meant it that way. There's a lot of different language barriers around the joint, especially like some languages do not translate well into English and vice versa. You know what I mean? Some
Right.
languages will come across as just being freaking cold and unsort of compromising or whatever. Like one of those languages will be German, for example. They always say the Germans
Right.
don't have a sense of humor. Um,
Right.
And like, direct translation sometimes it's like, oh, fuck, what did you say? They don't, sometimes you do have to sugarcoat. I don't like to sugarcoat shit, but yeah. So I think there's definitely been some miscommunications there, which has probably caused some extra tension or whatever. But yeah, it is what it is. I do think if that's what PJ wants to do and have the festival set up, within certain standards, that's fine. But yeah, you just got to be cautious about it and clear about it, and do it the right way, basically.
I like the analogy you made about a restaurant or a bar. They can hire who they. I like that analogy. I never thought about it that way. But then, if you're going to do that, right? Because anything else other than practices and standards that YouTube allows becomes opinion,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so if you're going to do that, you have to be ready for the consequences. Like I
You
have
do.
not been back to Fresh Friday since.
Yeah, I understand
When
that too.
when they denied the video that Alice Tanner and Dick Buttons did, which and again, you made that point that the whole thing is about empowering women anyway.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was. Yeah,
the international superstar one. I mean, so again, you're right. Everybody's allowed to have their opinion, but I think, and again, I haven't been back there, but I think their viewership has lessened since that whole incident. Because I know there was a faction of people that all walked with me, not because of me, but in discussions, I think a lot of people left that stream.
Yeah, I think it's probably slightly down from what it was before, but I guess that's just what happens when there's a bit of controversy sometimes. Not sure what's going to happen from here on in. Hopefully, everything sort of recovers and it goes back to normal. But, yeah,
And
so,
I think you put you in a tough spot. You do both. I mean, so it's it's almost like you're split personality. But
yeah. I mean,
I
look,
ask you though.
I tell you, like everybody knows where I stand on it as far as like I just told you, as far as what I'm sort of concerned with is YouTube. As long as YouTube allows sort of something, I don't mind it being on a show or whatever. But again, like I said, they have a right to, if it's their thing, to say this is what our standard is, and we don't allow this. But they've just got to be careful about how they communicate that and make sure it's nice and clear. Basically, if something's rated G for kids, then it's rated G for kids. That's why they have rating systems.
Right.
But
Yeah,
then,
I
yeah,
get
I think there actually can be a bit of a contradiction there, where you maybe you let something through that is offensive to one particular group, but didn't quite, it's not quite dirty or disgusting or whatever. But then you could let something else through that's not necessarily offensive to somebody else, but it's horrible to look at. But
right,
yeah, but that in a Hollywood sense would have rated both those things as M, and so the little kids
right,
can't go and see that. Like, yeah,
right. Where do you see the future of AI music going? I mean, we're at the precipice now where major artists are creating personas and putting stuff out there. There was some artist that said, not an artist, it was either an agent or a producer who said, everyone's bitching about AI. He goes, let me fill you in. He goes, everybody's using it to write their songs, right? So
yeah.
where do you see the future of that going in the next like 2 to 5 years?
Well, I think obviously it's a tool like anything else. Like, I think probably when a lot of things went digital and a lot of doors and that sort of came out, and Free Lips was sort of doing a solid sampling thing back in the day. There was a lot of backlash then, but now it's just the norm. And
Hmm.
again, it's going to be the same with this. It's already pretty much the norm for a lot of people, and it's more about whether they are willing to admit it at the moment. But as far as the future goes, I see it more as the technology itself. So at the moment, you listen to tracks, well, obviously because you enjoy them, but a lot of the time, people will be listening to, yeah, oh, I broke up with my boyfriend, so I'm going to throw on the Taylor Swift album about where she breaks up with her boyfriend. I'm going partying, so I'm going to listen to the party album about fucking rocking out with your mates. Um, but I think in the future, the way this will go is, say, Apple and Google will end up buying the tech or owning the tech or whatever, and you'll just have a personalized track generated from your phone. No artists involved, anything like that. It your phone's listening to you constantly. It knows everything that's going on about you. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
you and Jenny
listening.
break up. Yeah, you and Jenny break up. All of a sudden, your phone has communicated that back to the servers. The server's written a song, and all of a sudden, there's a sad ass fucking rock song, perfectly in your style, talking about yours and Jenny break up. And you're bawling your eyes out on the side of the road because the phone is like, oh, it's made a perfect track for you. So I think in the long run, artistry, like actual artists, might end up being gone completely and be taken over by completely generated AI. Yeah. Well, for day to day sort of stuff, I think people will always want to play instruments and sing and all that sort of shit. But yeah, I think in the mainstream, in the long run, and this might be fucking 30 years away, it might be 5 years away, but I think your phone
Right.
will just generate your soundtrack for you.
So you've heard of the ABBA show, right? They do that virtual thing, right? And Kiss is actually doing one in Vegas next
Yep.
year with the avatars and the technology now. I mean, I watched the ABBA thing, and the ABBA thing is, I think it's like almost 5 years old at this point. If you didn't know, you
Yep.
thought you were watching them on stage. So
Okay.
you actually can have 100% AI artists with personas like we do, and actually have them go on tour.
Yeah. Yeah, people say, "Hey, you're gonna go. Hey, you're gonna perform." That's one of the like AI hater excuses. Oh, you'll never be able to perform on stage, blah blah. But that's bullshit anyway. I mean, like so in the '90s and that when sort of EDM and techno was sort of coming out, that was another criticism. Oh, you can't have a concert of that sort of stuff. But then raves came out and freaking,
Yeah.
everyone was freaking in the club. They just have one guy up the front there, freaking with a DJ deck, fucking pumping lights and stuff like that, and everyone's having a ball of a time. So
Yeah.
you don't need to have a band on stage for everybody to go out and freaking, have a blast.
There's room for everything, Phoenix, I think. I think people who complain about shits, I really believe they wanna hear themselves talk, and they like to complain.
Sometimes.
I really believe that.
Yeah, sometimes it's for
For
attention
for
and shit like that, but
and then I'll get it I'm not gonna mention any names because I don't want I'm not that guy, but there are a handful of artist creators who think they're like fucking Beethoven, right? And I don't know. It's one thing to be confident, right? I'm confident in what I do, but I would never come off as like some virtuoso or something. I don't know. That bothers me a little bit. And the people who are vocal about uh saying shit about other people bother me too.
no,
Like
yeah.
calling them out.
Yeah,
Like,
I do see the, extra cocky ass people on Facebook, especially it's funny, it's usually when they're new too. They haven't been around for long, and all of a sudden they've turned up, and they're, "Oh, my stuff's so much better than everybody else's generic crap that's on there." And I'll, have a look at it, and I'll be like, it's not bad, but, it's not great. It is like everybody else's. Like,
right. And like you
yeah.
said, we're getting at the point now where the technology and the prompting really isn't that I mean the technology's there, but prompting is not even a skill anymore. I mean the software and it just does it for you at this point. I mean, it's gonna get to the point where everybody's stuff is gonna look as good as everybody else's, and there's gonna be no disparity.
Yeah, I think that's the skill. Is making yourself sort of unique, making your stuff sort of stick out and not be exactly the same as everybody else's. Because if you just go, it doesn't matter what lyrics you put into it. If you just tell it to make a rock song or whatever, it's going to have that sort of generic sort of rock sort of sound to it. You know what I mean? It might have a bunch of different voices and a bunch of different chord progressions or something in it, through the different versions or whatever. But that's not going to be too dissimilar. I think that's part of the skill with anything. I guess is learning to get your tools to to the output that you want it to do, and that doesn't matter whether it's a freaking hammer and nails and a wood sander and all that sort of stuff, and you're building a house. Yeah, you're using those tools to shape something into a perfect shape, and you could make it into a freaking square block or whatever, and the house looks like shit. Or you could make it into a beautiful, smooth, carved out, articulate looking design. And I think the same goes with Suno. You can have the shitty generic output, or you can mess with it and sort of get some better outputs, and then take those things and do some further work on them outside and
Right.
bring them backwards and forwards and stuff. To me, that actually seems to be what works the best for that sort of stuff. Well, pretty much never will have a straight generation output. Sometimes it'll be, I'll output the thing, then I'll bring it in, mess with it a little bit more, take it back into Suno, cover it some more, and then Suno will sort of mix all those things together smoother than I ever bloody well could. That's for sure. Um,
Right.
yeah, and then that's sort of where you get the output. I reckon that's sort of
So
where I get most of my stuff.
why do you do the music? I mean, what do you get out of it? What do you is it fun still for you?
Yeah,
Is it a
yeah, it's fun.
challenge or yeah, okay.
Bit of both. I mean, I enjoy making stuff. I'm always tinkering around with different shit. I'm a little bit sort of hyperactive, so I mean, I won't. The live streams and shit, sitting there for 2 hours is kind of a bit of a struggle, because I like to just fucking jump around and do different things. So yeah, uh, I'll be sitting down. I'll be like, oh, all right, I'll freaking play guitar for a few minutes, and I'll be like, all right, I'll go and do something else. I'll be playing with my dogs, and then I'll freaking come back, and then I'll be all right. Let's jump online and do something on there. And I'll be like, all right, no, I just want to, I want to tinker with some electronics, and so I'll go in the other room and I'll be soldering some stuff and making some shit up. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to print some stuff. So I'll start printing some, some 3D printing stuff or some CMYK printing or whatever. Like, I'm kind of a little bit all over the joint sometimes. So it's just another thing that I like to do. Yeah. So at the moment, I think I'm going to do next Saturday. I'm going to give away this bastard on Super Saturday, which is like just says the Phoenix Award, although it says the Penix Award because it didn't really work out as well as it could have. But this Saturday, I'm going to give this one away. I'm just working on
That's awesome.
some
That's awesome.
different little ones. The wings are kind of hard to print, so these ones are probably going to be the actual ones that I'll do. But I'll do them as probably. I don't know how often we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it once every couple of months where we sort of do like
Yeah,
a
I would do
special
it every
show
week.
and get everybody to
We
submit their whatever.
You'd be going nuts if you do it every week.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
So
So
have
yeah,
you
I may
seen
even do another one with Dave the horse as well. We did like Dave's
uh,
choice or whatever.
that's pretty funny. Have you seen an uptick in the Super Saturday show since it started as far as viewership and viewers and everything?
I think at the moment it depends. Like this week, well, it wasn't slow or anything, but last week for some reason there was a hell of a lot of viewers, and this week it was down a little bit, and the week before it was probably the same as this week. So Fresh Friday definitely used to get the more viewers out of the two, and now it sort of seems to be roughly even, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, listen, as I said, I have not frequented Fresh Friday since the whole incident for me.
Mhm.
When I'm not working, I'm there on yours, and I like you have the mix. I like having premieres and then go back to the wheel, and you do the news, you do the record head news, and you do other things that um I think set it apart from other live streams. You know, a straight wheel for 2 hours could get a little bit boring.
Yeah, I think so, and that's kind of what I'm enjoying about sort of doing that. It's more of a variety version of it, I suppose. And I think having the wheel encourages other people to come along. Yeah, that might be a little bit where we struggle on the Friday. It's sort of become a bit of a not closed community, but it's same people every week, and you don't get that many people who aren't actually yeah who haven't actually got a premiere. They're not really
Right.
as interested. So I think the idea of having like the wheels in between, it's the new people in the community to sort of get involved. They're like, oh yeah, I can get my track in there as well, and yeah, it can be heard next to Dick Buttons' track. Um, yeah, and I think that sort of it helps a little bit. And yeah, the regular head news is sort of fun to do. Sort of Jai's idea originally, but I sort of run with it a little bit. He's done a couple of the scripts, but I know he's been a little bit busy at the moment, so I didn't do one this week. I'll be doing one next week. Got a little bit of an idea. We'll see.
I enjoyed when you had Dick Buttons on for the interview. I thought that was great. I thought we worked out that worked out pretty well. That was fun. And look, if you would have a co-host for that, I would co-host with you. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, anytime you want to jump on, it's fun. Just let me know. I
It'd
think
have
you're
to be,
usually out with your wife half of the time, but it's all good.
I'm either working or that. Yeah. So, well, I can't. Yeah, when I have the time, but I would love to do that. And
I was going to say, so you'd be a busy man a lot of the time, Dick. Every time on Saturday night, you'll be out like at a restaurant or some shit. You'll be like posting a photo of you guys at a bar or something like that. And it's like, oh, this dude's out partying all the time, mate.
I had fun watching Chemistry play our tracks at his event last night. I thought that was fun. Did you see those
That
clips
was
of
cool. Yeah, yeah, it was
and he
cool.
was right. When he was playing one Dick Button song, there was a guy, like, popping his head to
And
there's
that's got
your
to be good to see.
affirmation. That's your affirmation. There's someone out in the wild listening to something that I wrote lyrics and I generated through Suno, and they're rocking out to it. I think that's pretty cool.
That's it. He doesn't even know that you're watching. And so, yeah, he's like in his element, basically. It's not like he's like, oh, Dick Buttons is watching me. I better pretend to rock out.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here because,
Yeah, go for
it
it.
can't all be fluff questions. Um, Give me 3 artist creators that, you are impressed with. That when they put out stuff, you're like, "Yeah, this is good."
Okay. I know. I don't want to like give her like a top three because, like you said, I'll tell you, it's on the spot here. If I really wanted to go and evaluate properly and say, this person I think is the best or whatever, I'd probably want to do that, like properly. But I can probably tell you three people who are good. I mean, there's yourself, obviously. You do
That's not
some
why I asked the
pretty
question, but
decent
thank
stuff.
you.
Yeah. Well, Jai does some good stuff lyrically, I think, and his like video effects and all that sort of stuff are really good. Um, I think that "Hate Me" track worked out really good, but that was more of a combination effort between him and Chemistry. Um, but who I don't know who by themselves would really sort of stand out. PJ stuff's pretty good. I don't know. It's kind of hard to. Yeah, I can't really think of any. Oh, well, Melody
You
Delight
gave me
stuff's
some names,
pretty
but
damn good as well.
you didn't pass on the question. I know I put you on the spot, but, and listen, I didn't ask the question to have my name in there, but thank you very much. I learned a lot, I'll be honest. I learned a lot from you. I learned a lot from PJ. I've learned a lot from Alice Tanner, Mello. I've learned, that's what I love about this community, right? At least the immediate community that you and I are in together, there really aren't that many large egos where no one wants to help each other,
That's right. That's
right?
right. Yeah.
I mean, someone asked me for help, I'm there. I asked Mello, I've asked you, you've helped me. I think that's what makes this community a strong knit community, and I think I don't think people see that part of it. Like when they see collab, I don't know if they understand what that actually means, other than two people doing something together.
Look, it can mean all different things. I've seen it mean simply that somebody sent across some lyrics and then somebody worked on the entire rest of the thing. But then I've seen it where it means they worked intricately together and done all the lyrics and verses together and then worked on the video together and all that sort of stuff. So it can definitely mean different things, I suppose.
Yeah, and and I'm gonna put myself on the spot. And this is not diminishing the work I've done with other collaborators, but the most fun that I've had collaborating is with Bunny.
Yeah, those look like a lot of fun.
I mean, we share the vision, we share the story, we work it out before we do anything. And I like that I do the first half, he does the second half. I think that's pretty cool, and I think they're getting better.
I
The
think
number
Bunny's
one,
with that stuff. I know who does all the sort of cinematic scripting stuff and putting all of that part of it together. But those things are definitely getting better. Yeah, yeah. Well, they're sort of flowing a lot better and more like a real sort of film these days than they sort of. If you go back 6 months ago or 12 months ago and look at other people's stuff, or even possibly your own stuff, there's a lot of awkward pauses in between scenes,
yeah,
and they'll often be looking off in the wrong direction
right, that's right.
when they're talking to somebody and things like that. Whereas now it's sort of starting to seem a lot more natural and starting to flow a lot more naturally. Yeah, and the last few Bunny and Buttons ones have been pretty damn good in that respect.
And, Google Flow, which is I think Flow is an extension of VO3, because VO has its own platform, but then Flow is another not another place you go in Google, but they've added an extend feature. So you'll generate an 8-second clip and then hit extend and write the next prompt. So it is actually
Oh
doing
yeah,
that editing for you, so there are no awkward pauses. So you could generate like a 3-minute clip
yeah,
that has no breaks or pauses in it. So,
yeah, yeah.
uh, that makes it better. But then I heard Sea Dance 2.0 is fantastic also. I have not played with that.
Yeah, I haven't played with it at all yet, actually. I try and do most of my stuff locally if I can. I'll do some stuff online, especially when I'm pressed for time because it's very time consuming and like very unreliable. Like my server just crashes constantly when I'm bloody processing. CUDA driver errors, blah blah. It's freaking madness sometimes. But yeah, I try and do as much stuff as I can locally and use as little online services as I possibly can. And a lot of those things will have those similar sort of features, but they're not as refined. That's for sure. So if I do like an extend like that, there'll be a clear moment, where it sort of slightly changes. I think I've done like an animation of this thing behind me at the moment, with all the stars sort of floating through it. Yeah,
Right.
and when it gets to the 10-second mark where it wants to repeat, the speed of them change and they shift trajectory slightly, and you can sort of see it suddenly go, and then it continues along, sort of thing. And yeah, so you always have it. It's the same as if you do, take the last frame and then generate it from a new prompt and then join the two videos. You can always, you know,
Yeah,
always
it is
tell.
tough. It is tough. Alright, I wanna wrap it up because I have Matt's stream coming up soon. I wanna do some editing, and just a little tease, Bunny and I are working on the 1980s, timeline for Bunny and Dick. So
Miami
this
Vice, huh?
one this one's taking a little bit longer. We're gonna go for a Miami Vice vibe, on this one.
Yeah, man. That should be awesome.
We'll see.
Definitely
But
looking
Venus,
forward
I
to
wanted
seeing
to
that.
thank you. I wanted to thank you for coming on, and not only just for coming on, I wanted to thank you for being there for not just me, but for others in the community. I've seen others talk about you, that you're always there to help, always there to if someone reaches out to you. And I've even seen you on AI Music Society reach out to people who just say like a passing question. You're one of the good ones, and don't ever change. I'm gonna hold you to
Yeah,
that.
cheers, man. Cheers, man. I mean, I've also got a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a dick to some people as well, but it's all good. I try and have a nice balance. You know how it is.
I will say it's endearing, the whole cunt thing. If when it comes from you, no one I don't get upset. If I heard that in my daily life, maybe I would go, "What the fuck is that guy saying?" But I think when you and especially I'll end on this because I always laughed when I was watching Fresh Friday Festival and someone put in the 2-minute timer. Now, how much of that I don't wanna break the veil. How much of your reaction was genuine and how much of it was for effect?
99% for effect. I think the first time I did it, I was probably like, "Fucking hell, you bastard! What the?" fucking, we're on a fucking schedule here, you prick, you know. I'm not like raging or whatever, but that's in my internal thought processes. But then, yeah, it sort of became a bit of a meme. So now I'll just intentionally be like, damn it, now they've done a 2-minute time. Now I have to go over there and fucking call them an asshole, you know? Yeah.
Well, I sent you the clip that's going to be in Matt's video tonight, when you're on password. I mean, listen,
Yep,
I don't
I've
like
seen
to
that.
laugh at my own stuff, but I thought that was pretty funny. And
That is
I
pretty
can
funny.
only hope that that other person is watching that tonight. So, is there anything you want to promote
Sure it will be, man.
before we go? Anything you want to going on?
I mean, just usual. Check out Fresh Friday. Check out Super Saturday. Check out everybody in the AI Music Society's stuff. Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, I don't necessarily have anything special to promote. I just
All right.
usual
Thanks
sort
for
of stuff.
coming on, man. You're a
Check out
good
the
man.
Phoenix show.
Yeah, the Phoenix show, and you're a good man.
too.
Don't let anybody tell you anything different, sir.
Cheers, man. Same with you, man. Thanks
Over
for
and
having me
out.
on.
Yeah, here we go now. Like a shot of truth. Reviews that cut with the razor's tooth. Interviews you don't wanna miss. Step right up. Welcome to this. From the mic to your soul, he's taking control. Tune in, lean in, let the man speak. Deep buttons bringing fire every week. From wine, so Vincent's zone to the Fritzy files where the truth gets shown. Season 6. Buckle up real tight. It's the world according to Dick Buttons, baby.